Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Paper Wars issue 103. This is the official magazine of Compass Games. Inside we're going to be featuring the game Second Fallujah, which we'll be taking a look at, and then also taking a look at the magazine. So let's start off by taking a look at everything you get with Paper Wars issue 103. And we start off with our magazine. We have the counter sheet, which is shrink wrapped because, as you can see, they easily fall out of the tree. And then our map. So let's set up the map and take a closer look at the game, and then we'll take a look at the magazine. And here's a look at the map that comes with the game. As you can tell, it is an area movement map, and the city of Fallujah is broken down into 51 separate areas. Inside each of the areas are various symbols. The green square here, this indicates that there is a mosque in that area. The top value is the area number, and the bottom is the terrain effects modifier, which will be used in combat. To the right, we have the orange triangle. That indicates that it is a victory location. Below that, we have a white circle, and inside, it's going to give you the same thing. It's going to tell you the area number, and then the terrain effects modifier for that area. There's nothing special in those locations with just the white circle. At the top left, we have the northwest entry zone, and the top right, we have the northeast entry zone. On the left, the map is bordered by the Euphrates River, where there is also a riverine unit holding box for riverine units. On the right-hand side, we have the fire mission holding box, the advantage box, the game turn, impulse, and political backlash tracks. Very easy map to read, giving you all the information that you need to enjoy the game. Next, we'll take a look at the counters that come with the game. The top left, we start off with the U.S. Marine Corps. Below that, we have the Iraqi forces, U.S. Army. Then we have the insurgent units, which consist of the Fedayeen, cadre, and militia forces. Then we have area control markers here, and below that we have some administrative markers, and then we have some Third World War variant markers for use with a variant that comes in the magazine, and then some expansion counters for Defending America, which is also in this magazine. The numbers on these counters are real simple. On the left-hand side is the combat factor, on the right-hand side is the movement factor. Very straightforward, easy to understand, and easy to get on the table. Next, we'll take a look at the rules that come with the game. This is a 12-page rulebook, and this game is designed by Steve Liskey. This is his first design. So congrats to you, Steve, on getting out that first design. Looking forward to seeing many more from you. First page of the rulebook is the table of contents listing out all the rules and their associated page numbers. Next page, we get to the overview, how to win, your victory points, levels of victory, explanation of your map, your terrain symbols, all those things we've already looked at when we looked at the map. Same for the counters, breakdown of all the different units you have in the game and their values. Then we get to the sequence of play on page 4. So from 4 to 12, only 8 pages of actual rules, not a hard game to grok and get on the table, which is fantastic. Start off with the action phase, the insurgent impulse, coalition impulse, insurgent reaction, end of the action phase, and then the regroup, infiltration, and the reset phase. That's going to be all your steps in the sequence of play. Stacking, movement, you even have friction amongst insurgent units when it comes to the stacking, movement costs, movement restrictions, mandatory attacks, reconnaissance, movement point cost, and insurgent reaction, area vacated, ambush. Then we get into combat on page 6. All the steps for the combat for the coalition, as well as the insurgent attacks. Then we have fire missions, political backlash, casualty points, control of areas, the advantage, Operation Phantom Fury setup. So the setup starts on page 9, and that carries over for a couple of pages. So really, if you look at the rules, the setup is on page 9. Rules start on page 4, about 5 pages of rules. Pretty simple game to get on the table. Then we have a solitaire play overview because this is a 2-player game. But of course, we can play like we normally play, where we play both sides. There's no hidden information. But there's also solitaire bot, which will add to the enjoyment for everybody when they want to play, if they don't want to play both sides. Then we have the rule changes from the 2-player version, insurgent setup, insurgent impulse, all the steps you would take for that, the insurgent casualty points, retreat priorities, and the reaction. Then we have the cadre reaction table, the counter manifest, and then on the last page, we have the insurgent bot decision flow chart. Next, we'll take a look at the magazine itself. This is a 47-page full-color magazine. Inside of the front cover, we have the table of contents listing out all the articles and their associated page numbers. Articles in this magazine, we have Historical Note, Battle for Fallujah 2004 by Steve Liskey, who is the designer of Second Fallujah, the game that's in this magazine. Developer's Notes by Robert Smitty Smith. Defending America Expansion Pack by Greg Smith. Third World War, Past, Present, and Future, Greg Warren and Eric Farago. Then we have Russian Campaign, Original 1974 edition, The Lupinacci Defense. Sounds like a movie that Charles Bronson should be in. I think that just sounds fantastic. Love you, Art. Tactical Event Cards in Contact Now, Europe in Turmoil 2, Interbellum. Case Eldorado, No Peace Without Spain. Design Preview, Desert Generals Part 1 by Ernie Copley. Projects Update by Billy Thomas. And then the Progress Report by John Kranz. Then we have the editorial and a situation in Ukraine as Ty Bomba was writing this editorial because it was dealing with the situation in Ukraine. Then we have the Behind the Lines report by Adam Starkweather talking about Combat Arnhem and Doomsday Volume 3. And we get to the Historical Notes, Battle for Fallujah by Steve Liskey. Developer's Notes by Smitty. Then we have the expansion pack for Defending America. I'm going to explain to you all the different counters that are on the counter sheet and then the player mats that you'll be using for those units. Then we have Third World War Series, Past, Present, and Future. Going to be talking about introduction, development, different aspects of the game, what they're going to be doing in the future here, and then additional materials and optional rules, as you see here. Then we have an alternate scenario and the Portuguese NATO forces. Then we get into rules of play for Fallujah, which we're not going to go back through. We've already looked at those. Then we pick back up here with the Russian Campaign Original 1974 edition, the Lupinacci Defense. The purpose of the defense is to prevent a Navy attack on the Baltic, Western, and Kiev military districts, so armor does not pour into Russia on the first turn. So an interesting article to read here for the avid players of the game, and then he even breaks down his methodology here. Then we get into Tactical Event Cards for Contact Now, written by Steve Overton, who's the designer of that game. Europe in Turmoil 2, Interbellum, Chris Van Beurden, who's designing that game. He's going to be talking about the background history, his design thoughts on the game, and what we've got to look forward to with that game. Then we have some errata here for Case Geld. No Peace Without Spain. Introduction, background. We're going to go into the cards, combat system. Going to be a good deep dive into the game. Then we have Design Preview, Desert Generals by Ernie Copley. We'll be talking about a couple of those North Africa games that we've all played or are familiar with. Then we have the Projects Update by Billy Thomas, War in the South Atlantic, Desert Blitzkrieg, Rommel's Desert Campaign, and then a Progress Report from John Kranz. And then we are at the back of the magazine, and these are the upcoming magazines in the next subscription. And that is a look at everything you get inside of Paper Wars issue 103, the official magazine of Compass Games. Inside we get the game Second Fallujah, Iraq, 8 to 14 November 2004. This is a game designed by Steve Liskey, and it is his first published design. Once again, congrats, Steve, on getting your first war game published. Not only do we have Second Fallujah in this magazine, we also have a lot of great articles. Along with that, we get the expansion for Defending America, some Third World War variant counters, and then Case Geld, as well as an Inkerman one, which I failed to mention earlier when we were looking at the counter sheet. I apologize for that. But really looking forward to getting this game on the table. Not a deep rule set, 5-6 pages of rules, couple tables. It's going to be easy to grok, but it's going to be a slog to get through the city of Fallujah like it was for the Marines. This was a brutal battle, and it is going to be interesting to see how it plays out, both head-to-head as well as solitaire, playing against myself or against the bot. And if you want a little added assist on learning the game, you can check out the Learn to Play that Steve and I did for that on the channel as well. So if this interests you, the magazine is available now, so you can pick it up, order directly from Compass. Well, I hope that helps you guys out if you've been curious about this one. If you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.